Good morning, everyone. My name is CJ. I'm the coordinator of this event. There's a very strong.
Maybe Prof. Chan can switch off the mic, I think.
Hello. There's the acoustic. Yeah, still there. I think everyone switched off their mic already. Let's go on. Thank you everyone for joining us this morning for Malaysian Journal of Music Live with Authors Talk Forum. In today's, we have Professor Dr. Chan Chongjan to be our moderator of the event. And then we have two speakers. They are Hermie Cartagena and Dr. Ilaria Melanie. So without further ado, I will pass the stage to Professor Dr. Chan.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Chan. I see a lot of friends here. This is really a nice event. I myself presented last year, I think. It's a very unique event where you have the paper published first, then we invite the author to share. So I took up this invitation also mainly because I want to learn from the papers. So today we are here to share and to celebrate two papers. First one's from Hermie Cartagena, and the second paper is from Ilaria Melanie. So we will begin with Hermie Cartagena first. Just a bit of how it works. Each presenter will have about 20 minutes to present, and we will put the question and answer session at the end after both presenter has presented. Yeah. So in that way, we hope to have more lively interaction. Meanwhile, during the presentation, you can type your questions on the chat, right? You can type your questions on the chat all along the presentation. And at the end, when we come to question and answer session, I will read them out for you. Of course, you can speak directly, of course. So at the end of the session, you can raise your hand. You know, there's a raise hand button, and if you may just speak directly without raising hand. That's also fine. I hope I'm doing things correctly. If I'm wrong, Sigi, please stop me at any time or remind me.
Okay, sure.
So I think we shall begin with our first presenter, which is Hermie Cartagena. Let me read his biography a bit. Okay, Hermie Cartagena is an assistant professor at the University of Philippines, Visayas, College of Arts and Sciences, a Division of Professional Education, High School Department. He earned his master's degree in music education at the University of Philippines, Diliman, Quezon City in 2018. He took up his bachelor in music education, minor in physical education at the West Visayas State University and graduated as cum laude, academic year 2010 to 2011. Cartagena is a lifetime member of the Philippine Society for Music Education. He is also a rondalla player, choir conductor, and dance instructor, choreographer. Cartagena has mounted various cultural performances showcasing the music and culture of the Philippines. Recently, he mounted Tunok 1 and 2, respectively in 2019 and 2020, cultural shows highlighting Visayan music and dances. Aside from creative works, Cartagena also conducts a series of teacher and regional training workshops in the Philippines at national level. So, without further ado, I would like to pass the floor to Hermie Cartagena with his title of the paper, Developing Musical Sensitivity and Creativity Through Various Forms of Play Activities. The floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. Wait for a while. I'll be sharing my slide. Is my slide visible already? Hello?
Yes, we can see the
Can
slide.
someone confirm?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so you can enlarge the screen though. Yeah.
Okay. Good day, everyone. Again, I am Hermie F. Cartagena, a faculty of the University of the Philippines, Visayas, College of Arts and Sciences, Division of Professional Education, high school is entitled Developing Musical Sensitivity and Creativity Through Various Forms of Play Activities.
Sorry to
In this
interrupt you.
article, sorry,
Could you
yeah,
enlarge the screen? This is for recording purposes.
unlock the screen.
To full screen.
You go to the bottom, you see the slide presentation where you enlarge and minimize the screen right at the bottom.
On the bottom right, you have this or
Slide presentation. I think his line is a bit choppy today.
while waiting for that, we just want to inform the people in the forum that the conference will be recorded and uploaded on our MGM YouTube video.
Oh my God. Okay, is it already clear or what? Can I be heard? Sorry.
Yes,
Yeah.
Full screen. There you go. Yeah.
Ami, can you hear us?
Yes, yes. Is it already in full screen?
No.
No.
You have to go to the bottom. You see the icon
Yeah.
just before the percentage there, where you minimize and maximize. It's not moving.
Okay? In full screen already?
No, we cannot see the
Hello?
screen now. We can see you. Can you? Yeah, you can share.
Full screen. There you go. Why? Wait. Okay, sorry for the interruption. I think my connection is not stable. Again, I'll do that. Uh, no. Okay. Okay, is it already visible?
Yes, we can see your slides now.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let me continue. Again, my article is entitled Developing Musical Sensitivity and Creativity Through Various Forms of Play Activities. In this article, I discussed the potential of various forms of play activities in developing the musical sensitivity and creativity of learners. In the context of the Philippine music education, the K-12 music curriculum program advocates for experiential and outcome-based learning, leading to students' holistic learning development in the classroom. And one of the many ways to promote this advocacy is through the implementation of various forms of play activities in the classroom setting. However, there is a lack of literature showing the impact of such methodologies on Filipino learners. Thus, the study sees the potential of various forms of play activities when integrated into the classroom music education can be beneficial to both the educators and the learners. This ethnographic case study investigates the different activities of the interlocutors found within the community as factors in the development of the interlocutors' musical sensitivity and creativity. Since it's a qualitative type of research, it highlights the individual case according to the social groups and situation, and no generalization was made since it's quality research. This is this is to answer the question: how can play activities be beneficial to classroom music education? For the data sources, we had interviews, observations, and related documents. In analyzing the data, we used a thematic analysis procedure, such as cutting and sorting, finding theory-related materials, and then look for similarities and differences. We
Hermie,
also
sorry to
followed
interrupt. The
John.
slides is not moving. Maybe you need to move to the next slides. Sorry.
I'm still on the third page, third slide, I mean.
This is still the first slide.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay, all right. Thank you.
Are we on the same page already?
It's showing a slide with pictures.
Yeah,
Okay,
on
the photo.
the methodology slide.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Allow me to continue. Again, we followed, we familiarize in finding themes, we familiarize first the data, generate initial codes, search for themes, and then review the themes. We redefine or define themes, and lastly, we had the report produced. To secure the validity and reliability of the data, we followed some procedures also. We first had our interview questionnaires have been validated by experts, and then key informant sampling, and then we had it member checked, and then triangulation of the data. So this study was conducted at Mandurrio Elementary School from March 2018 to October 2018, located in Western Visayas, Philippines, of course. Research processes were carefully administered by following the ethical procedures in the research. After the, uh, After the data has been gathered and analyzed thematically, the result shows that when play activities are used in classroom instruction, musical sensitivity and creativity can be developed. Okay.
Hermie,
Yes,
sorry to
yes.
interrupt. I think we didn't get to see your slides. I mean, we are still looking at one slide before methodology.
Really.
Yeah, so maybe can you show us the slide of methodology also, just for a while?
Yes.
Because
Okay.
yeah, okay, all right. Yeah, the next slide, please. It doesn't come. We are still at the methodology slide.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah. Okay. Yeah, but can you continue from here? I'm sorry to interrupt because we missed quite some of your slides. Yeah,
Okay.
please.
Thank you. Okay. Let me recap. Uh, the study was conducted at Mandurrio Elementary School, Iloilo City, Western Visayas, Philippines, from March 2018 to October 2018. Okay, research processes were carefully administered, analyzed. The result shows that when play activities are used in classroom instruction, musical sensitivity and creativity can be developed. Also, the engagement of the interlocutors along with other learners to various forms of play activities has contributed to the development of their creative expression, ideas, and musical sensitivity. In the play activities of the interlocutors, singing games and rhymes were documented. Through these kinds of activities, the interlocutors consciously and unconsciously develop their sense of time, pitch, and pattern. As a result, the activities led to the development of our interlocutors' musical sensitivity. There's some videos first. I have videos. Wait, why? Let me share. Of our uh, encounter with our students. Here is a video and or yeah, a what TV Sorry for the delay. I think there's a problem in the connection. There you go.
Game.
Hanapin at tutukin na nakatago sa aming kamay. Nahulog sa bangin, tinuka ng manok na nanggaling sa bundok. May tala din. Ay mo rin. Wala!
Sa public mo po.
Hanapin at tutukin na sa aking kamay. Nahulog sa bangin, tinuka ng manok na nanggaling sa bundok. Wala si bukaan. Charot sa dito. Bukaan na ko. Wala! Ay, wanabe at tutubi na sa aking kamay. Nahulog sa bangin na nalanggaling sa bundok. Wala! Oh, di ba? Hindi ka ginasing mo? Ay, wanabe at tutubi na sa aming kamay. Nahulog sa bangin. Tinuka na manok na nanggaling sa bundok. My God!
Okay, there you have it. In that activity, the children try to hide the stone while they singing the rhyme or the reciting the rhyme rather. The other one is we have here Shela Gumamela.
My name is Shella. Shella. Shella Gumamela, Gumamela, Gumamela. Happy, happy, happy. Alay, alay, alay. Totoo, totoo. Pakis, pakis, pakis. Pwede naman nakakalam mo sino ka. Tingnan mo ang hair ko. Mas mahabag pa sa'yo. Wash, wash, wash. Pick, pack, boom. Pick, pack, boom. Papakas. Pick, pack, boom. Taog ang ano hatas. Pick, pack, boom. Taas. Pick, pack, boom. Pick, pack, boom.
Okay. As you can see, if you have observed, the students also move. Shucks. Oh my God. Oh, abi ko na yung lock. Can I be heard?
Yes.
Hello? Oh, okay. I thought I'm out. Okay. Okay. Let me go back to my presentation. Okay. Okay. As you observed in the videos I presented, the students or the learners learn to or move with the music they're reciting or they're singing, and through that they learn to be on time and strategize and be creative on the way they move pretend, or act or imagine things. Okay, let me continue to the second uh, theme. We have, aside from developing the musical sensitivity
Yeah, sorry,
of
Hermie. Can I
learners,
request you to click on the slide that you're speaking now?
yeah,
Thank you.
okay, there you go. So we are now on developing creativity through play activities. So play activities do not just develop the music potentials of our interlocutors. It is with these activities that learners likewise develop their creativity. Various forms of play activities provide learners the agency to think divergently and critically. As a result, the learners develop their creative ideas and expression, which are unique to one another. As flashed in the screen, figure 6 are, yeah, up to 8. These are the various activities of children in the school. On figure 6 is a presentation in the classroom integrating movement and music. On the figure 7, it's a strategic game called Chinese Garter, wherein students strategize to cross over while jumping the garter. and and the last picture shows and how to, we all know it's a basketball game. It's a just strategic game that allows students or learners to strategize on how to shoot the ball on the what you call this ring while bouncing it. Okay, let me share to you again the video I had here. It had here. This is a video in science class wherein music is being integrated to enhance the learning experience of the learners. Now let's watch. I think here, try. While waiting, I think that the teacher also uses movements. The other one is luksong lupid, or also known as Okay. As you observed on the first video, the class is more engaging for the learners when the music was used in the classroom discussion. I think the lesson was about physical and chemical change. And then the second one, if you notice, the length or the height rather of the what you call this the thread or the garter for them to strategize how far will they prepare or the momentum in order for them to cross over. Okay. It is also supported by the claim of our interlocutor, one of our interlocutors during the interview, that according to her, the children should experience the play itself for them to learn something from these experiences. And this is supported also by the ideas of the group of teachers during the interview, that in their play activities, they have this, they can develop their critical thinking as well as activate their creative thinking skills. Okay. So the engagement of the interlocutors to various forms of play activities has contributed to the development of their musical sensitivity and creativity. Learners learn to strategize as they play and unlock new skills. The play activities of the interlocutors provided them the avenue to experiment and explore their various potentials. As the learner explore and experiment, they gain also understanding of oneself. And one of the attributes of creativity is the divergent thinking. As learners think divergently in their play activities, learners develop new ideas which are unique to them. The interlocutors gain understanding of patterns in terms of movement and music. With that, the learners were able to develop their music and movement bank. As a result, the interlocutors were able to improvise on movements in their play activities, create pattern, and many more. According to Huizinga, all forms of human activities is considered as play. The concept of play varies according to an individual's subjectivity. Brock et al. And Bernard explained that play activities are flexible to cater to the various interests of the learners. Such activities provide an opportunity for children for several interpretations and distinguish the similarities and differences in terms of style, treatment, music, and strategies. Hargreaves and Stefanik also explained that as learners engage in play activities, the learners may gain understanding of various concepts surrounding the learners, leading to the development of his or her critical and creative thinking. Meanwhile, Campbell and Scott Kastner, along with Anderson, explained that the engagement in various play activities allows the learner or allows the learners to develop their musical abilities and creativity as the learners learn to differentiate and create. Findings also suggest the use of local music materials, and in the Philippines, we call it larong Pinoy. Um, this is to enrich the music experience of the learners. Using such music materials within the context of our learners may provide learners with a meaningful, relevant, and enjoyable music experience. Furthermore, the use of local music materials in the classroom setting may establish their sense of identity, cultural awareness, and many more. Consequently, as the learners learn to familiarize themselves with their local music culture, the learners likewise develop their appreciation and valuation of culture. So as the children engage and play, they also develop their sense of identity and of what kind of community they are with. And in conclusion, play activities can create an impact on musical and creative learning development of the learners. Such activities can enrich the music experience of the learners. Thus, learning becomes relevant, meaningful, and enjoyable for the learners. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Hermie, for your presentation. We would like to uh, move on to our second presenter today, uh, who is Ilaria Meloni. Let me read her biodata a little. Ilaria Meloni completed her PhD program in 2019 at La Sapienza University of Rome, and she has been living, researching, and performing traditional female singing in Java, Indonesia, since 2013 in different contexts like karawitan, wayang kulit, keroncong, collaborating with the Institute of the Arts of Yogyakarta. She has been active in gamelan rehearsals and concerts organized by the Indonesian Embassy in Rome and the Indonesian Embassy to the Holy See, Vatican. Currently, she is conducting an internship in Karawitan to the Sultan Palace of Yogyakarta and carrying out a team research on Sinden voice quality with a specialized phoniatrician. So without further ado, let us welcome Ilaria Meloni with the title of her paper is Foreign Sinden in Practice, New Teaching Strategies and the Impact of Practice-Led Research on Javanese Female Singing. The floor is yours.
Thank you for introducing me. I hope everything runs smooth with the PowerPoint. I will, okay. Okay, I hope you see it fully. So yeah, in this paper, I discuss about a research methodology called practice-led research and its effects on the researcher, but also on the research itself, on the fieldwork and on the other participants, because in the research many parts are involved. So the musicians, the artists, and the institutions and everything. And especially I will discuss about three main points, which are the new teaching strategies adopted by some teachers who has to meet, in my case, I was a foreign researcher and also a singer. So, and in the second point is the challenges encountered in the performance practice. In this case, the Sinden Mancanegoro or Sinden coming from outside Java. So how it adapts to the audience demand, and also I will address the question of the identity of a performer and a researcher, especially coming from another cultural and musical background. So basically, the practice-led research, learning to perform, has quite a long history in ethnomusicology, and it's related to other disciplines called the methodologies called participant observation, for example, and or the emic perspective discussed by Barthes and Cooley, and also Babiraki talks about it, and Bailey. Many scholars have talked about it and also have used this methodology. One is Key Mantelhood, which was one of the the leaders of the practicing and researching, in this case in the Javanese context, and he was the father of the so-called bimusicality. The bimusicality is something which I encountered in my path, because I studied at La Sapienza University, and with Professor Giovanni Giuriati, which is a student of Mantelhood. He has been a student of Mantelhood, and so I was really interested in this kind of methodology since the very beginning of my research. Because I felt the necessity. When I heard the Javanese music for the first time, it was at the Indonesian embassy in Rome, and I felt the urge to go to Indonesia and to study and research this music in loco, so in presence there. At the time, of course, it was possible. There was no pandemic and such. And so I applied for scholarship, and I went to Java, and I spent there nearly 7 years with the scholarship after the others. And it was a challenge because as Key Mantelhood expressed in his article about bimusicality, he addressed the two questions, which are: how far can we go and how much time do we have? Because practicing and researching at the same time, it's I think many scholars now they do, because in many universities this methodology is becoming very important and very widespread. And so, you know, there are pros and contras, there are many challenges and difficulties, and especially in what is the individuality of the individual who conducts the research. And because it's a person bringing his history, his identity, and background mentality to the field, and it implies modification in the field itself and in its mindset as well. So it's a mutual adaptation. And so there's also a concept of a strong identification with the chosen culture, as stated in Solis, which is another important author talking about this topic. Or as Babiraki says, like, the total immersion in the culture investigated might distort the researcher's point of view when analyzing data. So one can assume the point of view. For example, when I remember when I was analyzing the Javanese pieces, that I adopted the methodology that I learned in Easy Yogyakarta, but my professor in Rome wanted me to adopt another slightly, different methodology, because of course we were used to another kind of music analysis. So I had to adapt both, and it's just one of the points. So basically, I spent the first years of my fieldwork learning the Javanese singing with different teachers. So I adopted different methodologies, and I could compare these methodologies. So this is what practice-led research is about. So it's just trying to balance and combining different activities which are part of the same thing. So it's like the research is an extension of the performance, and it involves also the learning process. It's all together, and a big challenge is to balance also in matter of time. If you think that a PhD program has a duration, so a precise duration, so having to learn a totally new language and a totally new musical language. For example, in Italy, the time was 3 years and a half, no extension. So just 3 years and a half, or you get dropped out. And having to do everything in 3 years and a half, it's a great challenge, because to master a totally new musical language and to become a musician, it requires time. And on the meantime, you have the deadlines of. So it requires an effort and to combine different diverse aspects. So basically, why have I chosen the Sinden? Because witnessing many gamelan and the shadow puppet theater performances, I just got impressed by these women singing beside the puppeteer, which have a specific voice timbre, a very specific voice quality, and vocal style, and also they embody a certain idea of femininity, which was handed down by the court's ethics and the court's ideal by the 19th century. So to become a Sinden doesn't only imply to study the repertoire, of course, and mastering the vocal technique somehow, but also to embody a certain ideal. And of course, coming from a different cultural background, you have to know how to embody something which is like a kind of culturally defined. The phenomenon of the international or foreign singers, I prefer international, but Mancanegoro means like foreigner, so it's not totally new of this century, of course. It's there are scholars in the past, like Susan Walton, like Professor Susan Walton, who has practiced, and they became Sinden beside becoming scholars. But well, in the nowadays, like the phenomenon of the Sinden Montenegro is or Sindena Sing is becoming more and more important, even in terms of business. I mean, it's many puppeteers, they want to have a foreign Sinden for their performances, and of course, it has been influenced by many international scholars and researchers and students coming to Java to study gamelan during the years, because since the establishment of the biomusicology or emic perspective, participant observation, and all the methodologies I mentioned before, of course, more and more people came to, they wanted to actively participate, and they remain a long time. So of course, local teachers and local artists adapted themselves to the new coming researchers, as the researchers adapted themselves to the context. So it was a kind of a mutual adaptation. So to learn Sindenan, well, there are two main methodologies, which are alami, or natural, oral or aural, as defined by Solis, and academy or academic, which mainly,
Sorry to interrupt. Are you still in the first slide? Because we still see the first slide only.
Oh, I didn't go. You still see the first slide?
Now it's moving.
Now?
Yeah, now it's moving. Just now was still on the first slide.
Because I made it full screen, but did you see these other slides or not?
Now it's okay. I think just keep it like that. No need to make it full
Yeah,
screen.
no
I
need to
think
make it full
some
screen,
error
because
with
otherwise,
the
yeah.
with Google Meet. Yeah.
Okay,
Sorry.
so yeah, no, thank you for noticing me, because I was not looking at the chat. Okay, so well, I just start from this slide then. So what does it mean? Basically, alami means natural. So basically, Sinden alami is a singer who has learned by imitation or by earth and with what Javanese called rasa or rosso, which is feeling, emotion, but it implies much more than that. But it's something that it's an inner feeling that you use for practicing, playing, learning. So it's something which comes with practice and with constant listening and with being involved in a certain musical context. Many of the Sinden Alami, which I met, they were just grown up with gamelan music. They had keluarga seni. They had artistic family, come from an artistic descendants, so they were taught by their grandmas or mothers, etc. And while academy means academic, what does it mean? It's just a singer that has learned in an academia or a conservatory like the ISI Jogja, ISI Surakarta, etc., mainly in Central Java. And but it doesn't imply that they don't use still an oral method as well. It's just that academic Sinden, they use sometimes they use notation, for example. They are taught how to read the notation, while usually Sinden, natural Sinden or Sinden Alami, they don't follow a notation. They just improvise. They just listen to the gamelan music, improvise. While in the academia they give notations and they explain the structure of the pieces. So you have another kind of technical knowledge, but most of the practice is still by imitation. So it's a combination between the two methodologies. But many other methodologies as become available for researchers and students. And some of the methodologies represent a combination between the two methods, but some are more and more towards an academic approach, and also sometimes a kind of very analytical approach. Here I have the example of Pa Abdal, one of my teachers in Yogyakarta, and he has been a student in ISI Surakarta as well, and he was a mathematics teacher as well. So with Pa Abdal, I experienced the method that he said to have created especially for researchers, not necessarily foreign researchers, but mainly researchers. And he stated, I read his word, I know that foreigners have a different learning methodology. I have taught people from Belgium, Germany, America, the Netherlands, and my method worked with them because it is scientific, analytic. After me, other Javanese teachers started to apply my method also for teaching local students when they couldn't learn simply by oral transmission. So when written transmission starts to replace oral transmission, teachers adapt methodologies that they also adopted from outside with this sharing with researchers and scholars. In the article, I really showed in detail what this methodology consists of, but in here I don't go into too many details because it's, I mean, it takes a long time. I will just show these. So basically, this is score of with the cipher notation of a very famous piece, Ladrang Wilujang. So basically, under the notation, which you see like a 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 6, etc., there are some symbols, some sort of, they look like mathematic formulas. They are the classification of the melodic patterns that you are supposed to improvise on a melody. But so my teacher, Pa Abdal, he studied these methodologies, and he also got it from another great musicians in the Surakarta Academy, which is Marto Pangrawit, which used a similar method for teaching the gender, another instrument. So basically, he gives a name to each melodic pattern, and after that, he made me write the test under it. Then he made me write this P and U that you see, like P, U, P, U, is just Padang Julian. So it's like the minor and the major cadenzas. So this is a piece, a gamelan piece, like with a vocal part. totally schematic, totally classified. If you just see what does each formula means, I don't explain in details, it's really very long, but if you see what each of these formula means, it's just a melodic pattern that you can use to sing. So the final score will be like this. So basically, Abdal deconstructs the piece to be able not only to study it and memorize it, but also for the purpose of analysis, because I went there to Abdal and I say, I need to write my dissertation. I need to analyze the pieces. I need to understand how Sindanan works, like technically, where I should start, how long should be the sentences, the melodic phrases, and where I should end, where I should start, what are the cadences, etc. And he really showed me in detail. So if you want to sing it, of course you can. It's like, well, now it's like 3 a.m. here, but I will just a little example, like Yorangane kavi sekar bebunda Sri Krishna Rama Rama little pospito, etc. Sorry, my neighbors, it's very late. And so, but you can also sing another version. This is only, let's call it a study version, because in the reality, Alami Sinden, so a natural Sinden, they will never sing the same version of the same piece. So on one hand, this methodology is very useful for the purpose of analyzing a piece, but on the other hand, it risks to go towards a standardization. Because if you keep this notation, of course, you are tempted to sing the same every time. But actually, in the real practice, you shouldn't. You should not use the notation and just follow the music. So this is an example, only one example of how a local teacher can develop new methodologies, and they can combine purpose of analysis and research. And another important aspect is what I was introducing before. It was the aspect of the identity and self-representation in the performance. And so as being an international Sinden in this century, what does it mean? It doesn't mean the same that it meant in the past century, because in the current century, the spectacularization of the traditional performances is becoming very important, and having foreign singers, it's something, because it brings more spectators, and it's also a useful mean. I had a video, but you cannot see I don't want to mess up everything, but the link is in the article, so maybe later I can share it. It's on YouTube, so then I will show you the link. So in this video was just showing a performance in which basically I collaborated with a puppeteer, and during my performances, the puppeteer was using my presence as a foreign Sinden and a scholar to address some messages to his audience, which were, I read the dialogue that is written down. He said, I have one request. Please tell everybody that Indonesia is a place of kind people and worldwide known culture. And you can see by yourself the people of East Java, how are they extraordinary. And now you have to share this message. Indonesia is not to be considered extreme. Indonesia likes friendship and humanism. And then he says just like that, that people should learn traditional performing arts because they were known all over the world. And so if people from all over the world wanted to learn them, why won't they? So my presence there was important. We had this kind of a mutual exchange in which, on one hand, he could have the Sinden Mancanegara, which was a very trendy. It was a real trend until, well, at least until before pandemic, when it was possible to travel. So he could have his performances, entertainment, and convey some important messages, validated by the fact that an international performer and scholar was there on that stage. And on the other hand, I could also be invited directly on stage. I spent days and nights with the musicians. I lived all the backstage. So there was this mutual exchange, which was very important in the practice-led research, which is something that influences both the parts. And on the long run, it brings, of course, modification. Of course, there was also the part of the classic ethnographic research, so the interviews, recordings, etc., etc. But yeah, the research became an extension of the performance and of the learning activity. And also, well, to conclude, because I think we are, yeah. So, of course, there are some issues, there are some pros and some contras. For example, the fact that, as I already mentioned, I tended to assume, to acquire the point of view of the performer. And sometimes when I went to produce some critical thinking, it was really not that critical anymore because I was inside that. So I had to do a constant switch from outside and inside. This is one of the risks, to not be objective when you just go on the part of the analyzing, revising, etc. But on the other hand, learning to perform, it's really useful to enter in the musical mindset. When in the analysis, I could just think as a singer. So like, what would I do now in this passage here? What melodic formula would I use? Oh yeah, she did that because blah, 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 because this and that. And also to enter in another musical thing. I mean, it really changed also my musical taste and my musical ethic. For example, I remember my like of classic singing, European classic singing. And he complained that at a certain point I was doing very long vibrato English sound at the end of every sentence, like the way of the Javanese singing. And I thought, oh, okay, I am in like Javanizing even other vocal genres, which so I totally entered in these. So it's a mutual exchange. And basically, to conclude, I think that learning to perform and as a part of the research is still very actual even in this time, even if of course it's more difficult to go physically to a place, but it can be done not necessarily, I mean, in a far away, or it can be done online. There are many ways, but it's still very actual methodologies. And if we start from the assumption that music is for individuals, so then the music making, it's an essential part, and to guide a researcher to be a musical being himself and to understand music in its broader sense, like at every latitude. Thank you. Terima kasih.
Okay, terima kasih. No problem. Yeah, thank you, Ilaria, for your presentation. And I really appreciate that you give this presentation at 3 a.m. at your time. So thank you very much. So I think everybody can stay on for another 5 to 10 minutes for question and answer interactions. Before that, let me give some announcement. First, please fill up the survey form. The link is given on the chat. And there are 2 more announcements. Please, could you cite the articles or any relevant articles from Malaysian Journal of Music for your research? And the last one is, if you are interested in submitting articles, the submission deadline is 15th of May this year. So continue to ask for your support for quality journals, and one of the journal that we are very proud of in Malaysia. Thank you. So we'd like to move on to a question and answer session. May I ask, is there any questions for Hermie first? Any questions for Hermie? on his sharing about the use of play or different kind of play activities in and the effect on musical sensitivities and experience in learnings and so on. Are there anybody, anyone? I see quite a numbers of music education lecturers and students here.
Okay. Hello.
Yeah, please.
Thank you. I'm Kun Astuti from Yogyakarta. Okay, I'm very amazed thing with Ibu Ilaria. Yeah, I'm very appreciate because she can sing Japanese Japanese song with dialect of Japanese. I didn't realize that she is can sing Japanese song, write Japanese sinden. Yeah, I wondering how long she learn about this tembang. Yeah.
Okay, the question is directed to Ilaria. Ilaria, please, can you?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for the question. And yeah, I have studied for I think nearly 7 years, because I went there in 2013 for my master thesis, and then I remained for the years of my PhD, of course, going back and forth, but mainly there. And at the beginning, I started from the like mochopat, like the easiest pieces, of course. And I had to totally forget my formation, which was like classical piano and singing. And so I started singing from the very easiest pieces, and then I could go to the classical singing, to the yeah. So it took quite a long time, because it involved, of course, also having to study the Javanese language and the correct pronunciation, the voice quality, that by imitation, and but with constant practice, yeah, it's possible. I hope I have answered.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, and yeah, and how your experience what your experience can explain with a special or particular methodology and research?
Yeah, I've used the bimusical approach, as I was talking about, which is it's like learning another language and another musical language, so another culture from zero. So I totally immersed in Javanese culture for a while. I just forgot that I came from Italy, and I studied at La Sapienza, and I studied piano, etc. I just started like I just started as a student of Easy Jakarta, and I studied everything I needed to learn from zero. So creating a double musical identity. That's it. That it's what but bimusical is like speaking several languages. It's just speaking several musical languages, and of course it involves then entering in a certain identity. But that comes with time, of course. The more you practice, and the more you achieve a good result, as every musician.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so here's a questions for Hermie. We'll go for a question for Hermie first. A question from Yap Jia Ying. Hello, Hermie. Do you think play activities could be used for elder age children? Because most of the videos were targeted to 7 to 9 years old. What about children of 10 to 12 years old? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that question. Yes, the research was conducted to younger children. However, it is possible for the play activities to be used in older children. As a matter of fact, I used play activities in my classes since I am a high school teacher. I use it from grade 7 to grade 10 on all levels, across levels, and in also in my when I gave lectures to teachers, I also use play activities in teaching teachers on how to teach music. So it is really possible because play activities encompasses all ages. So there's yeah, I think all ages are regardless of age, play suits to everyone.
Okay, thank you. So
I
we
answered your
just
question.
Mhm. Yes. Okay. Now we go through the questions on the chat first. So a question from Dr. Claire. Question for Ilaria. What were the difficulties you experienced in writing an article on practice-led research? Ilaria?
Uh, Thank you. This is a very, very interesting question. Yeah. I think the main difficulty is to bring out what Carol Babiraki calls the buried experience. So what you don't realize when you are on fieldwork and while you are doing the research, but you just try to undisclose afterwards. So to bring back everything that you think it's not, I mean, or at least what in my academia I learned it was not sometimes necessarily, but it was like the human experience, and
Yeah.
that is relevant.
Mhm. Thank you. There's another question for Ilaria too, by Jamila. The question says, how long do you take to master the Chenkop while reading the notation? Also, do you think classical singing really helped you to learn and sing Sinden?
Thank you. No, for the Chenko, well, with the Pa-Abdal method, it took not very long because I could classify different Chenko. So I started from the basic ones, and then I added embellishment when I was confident with the piece. So with this method, I have to say it's very useful to fast mastering the Chenko if you come from a written learning, because for example, for me at the beginning to learn only by imitation, it was quite difficult. I was used to use the partiture. So and that comes to the second question. Actually it was a problem, not it didn't help me because I had to uh, de-learn. I learned the vocal technique, like with the classical singing, it's like with the diaphragma and low larynx and everything, and I had totally to do other thing because Indian voice is a totally different thing, and it doesn't have anything to do with what you study in a European conservatory. You just forget everything you learn about vocal technique. You have to start from zero, and that has to be done by imitation. I have done studies on that as well, analytical studies like with the spectrograms and stuff, and yeah, I mean it's a total different voice quality, so it doesn't help if you start from classical singing.
Okay, thank you. I myself have a question for Hermie actually. I look at the videos and see the children are very lively playing game, doing the play. I reflect on our children in Malaysia. I what I can imagine is they are holding the handphone and they're looking at the computer games. So my question is, how are those play initiated? Are they being taught by someone, or how do the play initiated in their life actually?
Okay. The play itself existed before they were born, so it's part of the culture in the community. So it's been passed on through generations, and then it evolved through time. So I think it's via, yeah, I believe it's via oral tradition also as well, because there's no written document about this until I discovered also the songs. So the songs or games were keep on or passed orally by children through two children. So when they learn it, they learn to master and memorize, and then they what you call this, and they play together along with friends. So with that, some teachers, not only a few, uses this kind of techniques in their classroom.
I
But
see.
sad to say, in our curriculum in the K to 12, it's not yet an what you call this, a policy to that games should be part of the what you call this, the lesson. Although it encourages the K to 12 program of the Philippine Music Education encourages holistic learning experience, but there's no program yet designed program about play activities to be used on how these play activities to be used in the classroom music education. So that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think that is actually very useful for us. I think those culture is very precious. Not children everywhere have that culture. Yeah, Dr. Claire raised her hand. Dr. Claire, please.
Question for Hermie. Are these games being not documented? Because I think we used to play these games when we were young, but some of these games have come in decline in the schools, and there is not much documentation on these singing games in Malaysia. So I'm wondering whether there is any documentation on these games in Philippines, because I think this is a very important socialization for the children today. But compared to, I'm not sure whether you're seeing a decline in socialization activities where they're actually playing with their iPads and phones for their socialization activities today.
Yeah, thank you for that question, Dr. Claire. That is also our problem here in the Philippines. Students nowadays they lack communalization and what you call this. They lack also physical activity. So as a result, they are less connected to the environment. So actually, this movement is somehow new in the Philippines. Only a few of us doing this research or documenting the play activities because we see the potential of these activities a way, aside from preserving our culture, but also to elevate the music experience of the learners. Because in music education, we believe it's not about note reading, it's about the value of the music, the experience of music, because music itself will make you a better. We believe that the music will affect the whole being of a child, that will influence the kind or the character of the child later on. So also in a way to target the children will not dwell more on the computer games. Instead of they will be more engaged in socializing, doing physical activities, experiencing music, and have fun again, because this technology is quite a challenge to us. However, we may see that as a challenge, but we may also see that as the technology as a what you call this, as a way to enhance our lesson, because some we may find activities or play activities in the computers that may be what you call this, applicable also in our classroom. So I think we do not one aspect, but we cover all areas as much as possible.
Okay, thank you. So I think we shall come to an end here. There's one more question. Let me take that question as the last questions. I'd like to address to Ilaria and Hermie as well. But before that, I would really like to encourage all of us to go and read the two articles today. So the two authors has written this article. I think a lot of things are in the articles which we cannot just convey orally. But let me address the last questions on the chat. It says, what is the biggest challenge, I think, in running ethnomusicology research? And I think this applied to both authors because Hermie is also doing ethnographic case studies. So what are the largest difficulties that you face in doing research and putting it up into the articles? Maybe we begin with Hermie. It's not moving. Maybe Ilaria, would you like to just give your take?
For me, it was a challenge to make ethnomusicology be less ethno and be more like a transcultural musicology. So that's the aim. That's also the effort that's going on in Italian academia lately. So yeah, let's hope.
Okay, thank you. Is Hermie still with us? I think we have lost Hermie. So, Hermie, are you still there?
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry for the connection.
Yeah, just one
What was the
final word.
question again?
What are the difficulties for you to put all this up? As you're doing ethnographic case study, right? So, what is the difficulties in running a research like that?
I think the most difficult one is the time, and then the what you call this, the motivation to pursue, because the time where you will really challenge how patient you are as a researcher as you go and go deeper in understanding a certain concept. However, on the brighter side, despite all the challenges, it gives you a brighter, what you call, a hope for a better future for our next generation. So it's worth it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that answers from both authors. Actually, very big questions, even for us who supervise, because we are always fighting against time frame. We talk about graduate on time, and then you say you want to do ethnography. It's almost like you go against this, urge to put student graduate as soon as you want to. Okay, I would like to pass the. So please remember to fill up the survey form. The link is on the chat. So I will pass the floor back to Sigi. Sigi, please.
Thank you very much to Dr. Chan, Dr. Ilaria, and Hermie. I've also attached the link to their article in the chat box. So if you are interested, you can click on it and then read the article. I will also post the links of the article to the MJM's Facebook page, and also will link it under the YouTube video of today's event. Okay, thank you very much for your time. And that's it for today's event. Thank you. Bye-bye.